Good evening. This is the current affairs session for July 28. So let us have a look at the important articles. So the very first one, Nicobar Port Plan, flagged in no-go zone earlier, now in permitted area. Okay. So basically this article is with respect to a proposed project in the Greater Nicobar Island. So government has proposed a mega infrastructure project in a Great Nicobar Island. And this this article is with respect to this particular project. Okay. Now earlier it was said that this project could not be permitted as it is not in the permittable zone. But now it is being said that the project can be can be allowed, can be permitted as it is in the permitted area. Okay. So what is the ongoing story? A high power committee was appointed by a National Green Tribunal, and the task was given to this particular committee to look into the clearance for the Great Nicobar infrastructure project. Okay. And this particular committee, which was given the task to review this particular project, has concluded that this particular project, it does not fall in Island Coastal Regulation Zone 1A. Okay. So it does not fall in this zone where the ports are prohibited. Okay. So if a particular project falls in this 1A zone, you are not allowed to go ahead with the infrastructure. Okay. But now the committee says that this particular project falls in Island Coastal Regulation Zone 1B. And since it falls in 1B, the construction things are permitted over here. So earlier it was being said that the project cannot be proceeded because it is located in the no permit, no go zone area. But now the verdict, now the committee says that no, the project falls in 1B zone and hence it could be permitted. Okay. So as a result, the key takeaways, it mentions that this conclusion is at variance because earlier they were saying something and now they are saying something. Okay. Variance with the information submitted by Andaman and Nicobar Coastal Management Authority during the green clearance process for the project. Okay. So the authority had stated that the parts of the port, airport and the township, which is a part of this mega project, spread over 7 kilometer in 1A area. So earlier it was said that certain part of this project falls in 1A area. And if a project falls in 1A area, the construction is not permitted. Why it is not permitted? Because 1A area, so Island Coastal Regulation Zone 1A, it includes ecologically sensitive areas like there are mangroves, coral reefs, okay, sand dunes, mud flats, marine parks, salt marshes, turtle nesting grounds. All these things are there, and as a result, construction is not permitted over here. Only certain activities are permitted. That is ecotourism. Ecotourism in the sense mangrove walk, then roads which are very important from the defense and strategic perspectives, that are permitted with the permission of the center and the union territory. Otherwise, the other construction projects are not allowed in 1A area. So when we talk about this particular project, okay, so I hope this particular thing is clear. Earlier it was said that a certain part of the project fall in 1A area, but now it is being said that no, it is falling in 1B, and as a result, permission should be granted to the project. Okay. Now, when we talk about this particular project, it's a mega project planned at Great Nicobar. So it is called as Great Nicobar Holistic Development Project. The idea was originally conceived by Niti Aayog, okay? And it's a very big plan. So the plan includes International Container Transshipment Terminal, okay? So International Container Transshipment Terminal. So transshipment terminal in the sense, the ships will come over here at this particular port, okay? And it will be like an intermediary. Before going to the final destination, they can come over here, they can load the goods into some other ship, smaller ones, and then they can go to the other destinations. Okay. So that is being planned over here. Then a township and an area development, 450 megavolt ampere gas and solar based power plant, even that is planned over here. An airport for the civilian and defense use. So big project where there is a container transshipment terminal, a township is being planned, solar and gas based power plant is planned, and airport, okay, for civilian and defense use. And this particular entire project will be spread across an area of 166 square kilometer. So many environmentalists and activists, they raised their concern that this particular project would have an impact on leatherback turtle nesting sites. Okay, so leatherback turtle, they have their nesting sites in this area. Nicobar megapode, it's a bird over here, we'll understand about it. And it will also affect particularly vulnerable tribes, Shompen tribes, okay, and Greater Nicobarese Scheduled Tribe community. So this particular project will have impact on all these entities, and as a result, many environmentalists, they have raised their concern over it, okay. So this is the bird Nicobar megapode. Nicobar megapode, it is mainly found at Galathea Bay Wildlife Sanctuary, and please remember, it's an endemic bird to this area. It's an endemic to Great Nicobar. Okay. And apart from that, the peculiarity of this bird is that ground nesting bird. Ground nesting bird in the sense, it builds its nest on the ground. Okay, so zameen pe, on the ground, it builds its nest. It builds a mound of earth and lays its eggs inside it. Okay, so it is said that this particular project can have an impact on this particular bird. So please remember this megapod, Nicobar megapod. It's an endemic bird to this area, and it's a ground nesting bird. Its IUCN status is endangered. Coming towards the next important species over here is this leatherback turtle. Okay, so leatherback turtle, it is the largest turtle in the world. It is the largest turtle in the world. Only species of the sea turtle that lack scales and a hard shell. Okay, it's the only species of the sea turtle which lacks, it does not have hard shell and scales. Okay, they are named for their tough, so they have a skin which is a rubbery skin. Rubbery, instead of hard shell, the skin is rubbery shell, and it is said that they are in existence since the age of dinosaurs. And these particular turtle species, they are the great swimmers. It is said that they're highly migratory. They can swim thousands of miles a year. Okay, so they are a great swimmers, and they are found in every ocean except Arctic and Antarctic. Okay, otherwise it is found everywhere. Its status is endangered. So you need to remember, and they are found in the Great Nicobar Island. Fine. So Andaman and Nicobar, if it, for your information, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, they are the cluster of 836 islands, which are split into two groups. Andaman Island to the north, Nicobar to the south, and they are separated by 10-degree channel. Okay, so Andaman and Nicobar are separated by 10-degree channel. Great Nicobar is the southernmost and the largest of Nicobar Islands. And Great Nicobar has two national parks, Campbell Bay National Park on the northern part and Galathea National Park on the southern part. And also there is a biosphere reserve, Great Nicobar Biosphere Reserve. And here the population of Shompen and Nicobarese tribal people exist over here. Okay. So when we look at the map, you can see over here. Yeah. So you have this entire Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Okay. So when we talk about this is the Andaman, ye Andaman hai. So this is the Andaman. Then you have this 10-degree channel, and then you have here down Nicobar. Okay. So Andaman and Nicobar. Andaman are further. So this is Andaman and this is Nicobar, and this is the 10-degree channel. Further, when we talk about, you can see over here, there's a Coco channel. So Coco Islands, Coco channel. So Coco channel separates Andaman from the Myanmar. Okay, so from Myanmar. Then when we talk about Andaman, so here you can see North Andaman, Middle Andaman, South Andaman. And then you have here Little Andaman. So this Duncan Passage is important. Duncan Passage separates South Andaman and Little Andaman. Okay, you can see over here, South Andaman is over here. South Andaman, Little Andaman, and this is the Duncan Passage. So Duncan Passage separates South Andaman and Little Andaman. Okay, coming down over here. So here is the Car Nicobar Island, then Sombre Channel, Little Nicobar over here, and finally you have the Great Nicobar Island. So the project is planned over here, Great Nicobar, and the last point is the Indira Point. Okay, so this is all about these islands. Let's come towards the question asked in 2014. Which one of the following pairs of island is separated from each other by 10-degree channels? So just now we have seen it's Andaman and Nicobar Islands separated by 10-degree channel. Coming towards the next article. In Laos capital, Jaishankar hold talks on trafficking issue with ASEAN leaders. Okay. So mains perspective GS2 regional grouping affecting interest of India, Indian diaspora. So what is the ongoing issue? So on the sidelines of the ASEAN meeting in Laos capital Vientiane, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, he had a meeting with his counterparts from Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand. And the issue was with respect to trafficking of Indian citizens. So basically, it is being said that youngsters, Indian youngsters are being lured by offering them a high package job in these Southeast Asian countries. And they are hired to those countries in the name of a high profile job, but then they are trapped into confinements where they are forced to perform cyber crimes. Okay, so hundreds of Indians, they are believed to be the victims of these cyber crime gangs. Okay, it is said that over 500 trapped Indians have been rescued from the country so far. And it is said that many more such Indians are trapped in these countries. Okay, so many countries, especially Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, where Indians are being forced to work for gangs operating cyber scam centers. So there are big cyber scam centers, and it is being said that these centers are controlled by Chinese entities. So Indians are hired over here, and Indians are compelled to perform cheating. Okay, cybercrime. So probing a human trafficking, cheating, and criminal conspiracy angle against cybercrime criminals from Southeast Asian countries, CBI has alleged in the recent FIR that there exists an international network in trafficking of Indians to Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, where they are forced into cyber crimes at Chinese controlled scam centers. Okay, so let's have a look at the question. In India, it is legally mandatory for which of the following to report on cyber security incidents? Okay, so options given. So legally mandatory for which of the following to report on cyber security incidents? Service providers, yes. If there is any cyber security incident, they have to report. Data centers, yes. Corporates, organizations, yes. So answer should be 1, 2, and 3. Okay. In India, Section 70B of the IT Act gives the central government power to appoint an agency as a quick response team. So the name of the agency is CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team. So Rule 12 of the CERT, it says that any person, any company, any organization, if they have faced any cyber threat, they have to report it. So it's compulsory to report such incidences. Okay, so answer is 1, 2, and 3 all. Coming towards the next article, Muzi thanks India. So this is from the mains perspective, GS2. Maldives has resumed using Dornier aircraft and 2 helicopters gifted by India for medical evacuation after the 2 countries have reached an understanding. So we understand that earlier India and Maldives had good relations. But then the new president, Mohammad Muzi, when he assumed the office, his stance was pro-China. And he was getting more and more close to China. And as a result, this disrupted India and Maldives relations. But then in spite of all these complications, India has always shown, India has always been a big brother and always helped Maldives in all the circumstances. So Maldives was suffering from a debt issue. So India helped Maldives in paying that debt also. And as a result, now the relations are improving. So we had gifted Dornier aircraft and 2 helicopters to Maldives. But then there was an issue and they were saying that take your helicopters back. But now ultimately they have said that thank you, we will be using it. Okay. So that is being highlighted over here. So Maldives, it is located towards the west coast of India, and relations with Maldives, good relations, it's very important from the perspective of security. Okay, strategic perspective, it is very important, and India is always concerned about the expanding Chinese footprint there. Okay, so purely strategic perspective, India needs Maldives on its side to secure its maritime periphery, keep eye on Indian Ocean, and check the influence of China. So Maldives is very much important for India from the perspective of strategic outlook. Okay, and as a result, that is a reason, that is why India is spending so much on Maldives. Okay, so India invests on Maldives security by training its defense forces. It is suggested that almost 70% of the Maldives defense training it's done by India. Okay, and since it is in India's periphery in Indian Ocean, so it is very much important from the maritime security of India. Okay, so that is being mentioned over here. Next is AI to energy weapons. Army identified 16 tech clusters to stay future ready. So basically, Indian Army is upgrading itself and focusing more and more on technology. Okay, so that is being highlighted over here. Very important from internal security perspective. Okay, so we all know that the world is now technologically driven. So our army has to be prepared from that perspective. Okay, so in an efforts towards becoming technologically intensive force, Indian Army is now focusing on absorption of new and emerging technologies to meet the needs of the future warfare. Okay, so Army has identified 16 technology clusters where they need to focus on. So few clusters they have mentioned over here, like nanotechnology, hypersonic, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. Okay, then they are talking about this technology clusters on cyber space, automation, quantum, Internet of Things, remotely piloted aircraft, directed energy weapons. Okay, so army is focusing on all this technologically driven mode of warfare, and they have identified 16 such clusters in order to make them future ready. Okay, other tech clusters would be AI, machine learning, robotics, then this 3D printing infrastructure. So that is being mentioned over here. Coming towards the next one, 10 detained for regulating entry of vehicles into Meghalaya from Assam. Okay, so we know that here is like Meghalaya and Assam and Meghalaya. Okay, so 10 people are detained because they were stopping the vehicles into Meghalaya from Assam. So certain vehicles were coming from Assam into Meghalaya. So people were stopping the entry of the vehicles. Okay, so what is the ongoing story? Some groups in Meghalaya continue to press for regulation on entry of non-natives into the state. Okay, so certain people from Meghalaya, certain groups from Meghalaya, they are they're asking for restrictions for the entry of non-natives into the state of Meghalaya. Okay, so key takeaways: on Friday, members of uh, Haini Trep National Youth Federation set up a checkpoint at Umtingar, around 20 kilometers from Shillong, and they prevented vehicles with Assam registration number from moving towards tourist destinations such as Sohra and Dauki. Okay, so basically the say is that these areas are like, we know that northeast tribal areas are there, they say that they come over here and this is disrupting our culture and all, and as a result they want that people should not come over here. So Friday incidents happened after several weeks of different groups in Khasi Hills applying different pressure tactics for the introduction of the inner line of permit in the state to safeguard and protect the rights of the people and the state. Okay, so basically it is being said that these people are demanding for inner line of permit. So they said that if you have this inner line of permit, then and then only you should be allowed to enter into the areas. In why they are demanding for this? Because they want to safeguard the tribals. Okay, so what is an inner line of permit? It's a document which allows an Indian citizen to visit or stay in that state which is protected under IPL system. Okay, as of now, 3 states in Northeast, they are protected under IPL. So one is Arunachal Pradesh, next is Nagaland, and third is Mizoram. So if you want to visit tribal areas or certain areas of these states, you require an IPL. So whatever is mentioned in the IPL, like you can stay over here for these many days and all, you have to follow it. It's a colonial time caste system which is applicable in these 3 states. So even Meghalaya is saying that even we want this system to be applicable for our state as well, in order to prevent the other people from entering into our area. So that is in order to protect the indigenous tribal population. So that is this. You need to remember IPL today it is applicable in the 3 northeast states, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland and Mizoram. Okay. Next article, long-term capital gain taxation. Okay, so basically, in the recent budget, they have withdrew indexation benefit over the long-term capital gain. Okay, so let us try to understand it from the economy perspective. The changes in the long-term capital gains tax regime, particularly the withdrawal of the indexation benefit, has emerged as one of the most contentious decisions announced in budget 2024-2025. So long-term capital gain. So whenever you are doing a transaction of commodities, property, if you're selling a house, so the tax is being imposed, long-term capital gain. Even if you're doing these transactions, your mutual funds, your shares, if you are selling them after 1 year and all, so they apply long-term capital gain. Okay, but earlier they used to allow for indexation benefit, but now no longer indexation benefit is there. So what is indexation benefit? Indexation benefit is nothing but adjustment for inflation. Adjustment for inflation. You know, for example, if I have a house, let's say its price when I purchased, the price of the house was 20 lakhs, and I'm selling this house. And today the price I have sold it for 30 lakhs. So my profit is 10 lakhs. Okay, so after 10 years, I have sold this. Okay, but do you think that the net profit is 10 lakhs? No. Why? Because over the 10 years, inflation has also increased. So दिखने के लिए लगता है कि 10 लाख का profit है, but the value of the money, it has eroded with time, right? Because of inflation. So if you adjust it for inflation, maybe this is not 10 lakhs, this is just 7 lakhs. Okay, so earlier the tax used to be after adjusting for inflation. तो पहले अगर 10 लाख मेरा प्रॉफिट है तो I don't have to pay the tax for this 10 lakhs. They will be adjusting it for inflation कि 10 साल में inflation कितना बड़ा है, तो real value क्या है? So the real value is 7 lakhs. So I have to pay tax on 7 lakhs. But now this benefit has been removed in the recent budget. Okay, so you can see over here in the key takeaway, indexation is the process of adjusting the original purchase price of an asset or an investment in order to neutralize the impact of inflation. Okay, so it basically it basically revises the cost of an asset based on inflation. So inflation reduces the value of money over time, and therefore when an asset is sold or whenever an investment is redeemed, indexation helps in arriving at the cost of of the acquisition with the impact of inflation. Okay, so that is called as indexation, where you are adjusting your profit with the inflation, but now this has been removed. So that is being mentioned over here. Okay, coming towards the next one, as India ramps up free trade agreement, a new system in the work to stop concessions misuse. Okay, so finance ministry is developing a new risk management system to prevent foreign exporters from claiming any duty concession under the free trade agreement, okay, by rerouting goods from the third country. So what is being happening? Like, for example, India has a free trade agreement with, for example, let's take an example of Saudi Arabia, okay? But now what is happening? Some country, so certain goods of Saudi Arabia will receive benefits when they are exported to India. Now there is a third country, like for example, you have Bangladesh or you have say China. What they are doing? They are sending their goods to Saudi Arabia, and from Saudi Arabia, they're sending it to India. Now what is happening? If a good is, if the goods are being sold directly from China, so they will not get any benefit because India is not allowing benefit to China. So what China is doing? China is rerouting the goods. China is selling it to Saudi Arabia, and now from Saudi Arabia, its agents will sell it to India. So for India, it will appear that as if the goods are coming from Saudi Arabia, and we will give benefits. So that misuse is happening. So as India is signing more and more free trade agreement with the different countries, we are seeing that this rerouting is happening, and the concessions are being misused. Okay, so like for example, it was mentioned that nearly 60-fold increase in the silver imports happened from UAE. So from like India and UAE. Okay, so we have free trade agreement. So 60 times last year, 60 times, like जितना normal साल में होता है उससे 60 गुना silver goods came from UAE to India. But then when the research was done, it was found that कि UAE तो इतना silver produce ही नहीं करता है. So what is happening? Some other country is using this benefit. They are putting their goods into UAE, and from UAE, their agents are selling it to India. But it appears to Indians as if the goods are coming from UAE and they are receiving the benefits. So to stop this, Finance Ministry is planning for some risk management system. So that is being mentioned over here. Coming to other important things, split and pay taking off, okay? Combined payment methods. So fintech innovation is happening, and that innovation is split and pay concept. Like today, if we do any online payment, so you have an option. Either you do the payment by credit card or by debit card or by net banking, okay? So you have to use any one मोड, या तो आप क्रेडिट से करो, या तो डेबिट से, या तो नेट बैंकिंग. बट नाउ दे आर प्लानिंग फॉर अ न्यू पेमेंट where, like for example, there's a big amount, so you can split it. You can pay little bit from credit, you can pay little bit from debit. If you have some points, you can apply the points together in one payment. Okay, so that new innovation is happening, that is called as split and pay. Okay, so like basically in one swipe you can complete your transaction by using different payment modes. Credit, so by using different combinations of payment modes, you can do the payment. So that is a new concept that is emerging now. Okay. Then the next important thing, from Ujjain to Greenwich. Okay. Now the new NCERT class 6 textbook, it mentions that we all know there is a Greenwich, okay, which is a prime meridian. So the new NCERT mentions that this is not the first prime meridian. So we know that Greenwich meridian, which exists in UK, it is a prime meridian. But the NCERT book is saying that this is not the first prime meridian. Before this prime meridian, already one existed in India. Okay, so India had a prime meridian of its own. which passed through Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. And this meridian became a reference for calculation in all the astronomical texts of India. And the mention of this Ujjain prime meridian, it can be found in ancient Sanskrit texts, that is Surya Siddhanta. Okay, so Surya Siddhanta by Aryabhatta. So it's written by Aryabhatta, this book, Surya Siddhanta. Here. Surya Siddhanta, it's by Aryabhatta. So it is said that before prime meridian, this Ujjain meridian already existed in India. So that's it for 28th of July. Thank you.